and welcome to Pound Posse Presents. Here's me, totally wasn't paying attention, and on came my intro. Yay! Anyway, here we are, having spring in January. It's a beautiful thing, but don't forget to mind your vigilance when it comes to not leaving your pets out in the cold, and if there's snow out, still where you are, etc., and so on. It's deceptive, so always mind your pets. Anyway, gonna start with a story that could have turned out badly, but it didn't, fortunately. You should remember, if you've watched the show at all, one of my birthday dogs was the Sweetpea Friends of Rutland Animal Shelters, Davinci, who was the last survivor of the fire who needed a home. Now, of course, Davinci was a tough sell and had some very stringent requirements for a home, and, you know, didn't mean he wasn't a wonderful dog, just that he had some triggers and needed to be placed. You know, I call them niche adoptions. His was truly a niche, you know, no kids, no other animals, you know, totally an environment that was going to be, and a family that was going to be totally devoted only to him. You know, he was in boarding since the fire because Sweetpea's not able to operate, and they had no place to put him. Some wonderful volunteers made sure that he didn't want for attention or hikes or walks or love. And, you know, things were not ideal, but he was not suffering in any way. He was, you know, happy. He was well cared for. Unfortunately, recently, he had a couple of incidents, I guess you would say. You know, people who let their dogs off leash are very irresponsible, and, you know, in a lot of instances can cost another dog that dog's life, especially if you've got a dog like Davinci who absolutely can't be around other animals. You can't expect to be out and about with your dog off leash, and just because your dog is good with other dogs doesn't mean that you're not going to come upon another dog who's on a leash who may not be good with other dogs. You know, that's like the age-old, timeless problem with people who, you know, think they know it all and who are not responsible enough to keep their dogs on a leash. You know, there are no controlled environments unless you're in your house, and even that's a risk, or unless you're in your own fenced-in yard, and sometimes that's not even foolproof. So, you know, to put your dog at risk, to put another dog at risk, it's just not right. So, yeah, Davinci had a couple of incidents with off-leash dogs, and unfortunately, there were bites to people trying to make it stop. Subsequently, the place where Davinci had spent the last more than a year didn't want to have him there anymore. So Sweetpea's back was to the wall. They couldn't take him in. They had no place to put him. You know, the place that had loved him for so long had to basically put their foot down, and that left Sweetpea in a very bad spot. What do you do with a dog who now has a bite history, and, you know, can't just go anywhere? That's a very tough thing. So they posted on their page and, you know, pretty much put it out there, plain and simple. They needed a place for Davinci to go. He had a definite timeline to be out of where he was, and if they couldn't find a solution, they would have to think of the most god-awful solution, which would have been to put him down. And that wasn't something that they said very lightly. That was something that would have definitely destroyed everybody I know there. And unfortunately, you know, people react. They haven't been paying attention, thinking, you know, oh, you know, Sweetpea's got this huge new facility, you know. they've not rebuilt yet. So, get off of that. They are, a no-kill shelter, and they got taken to task for putting that out there. But what were they supposed to do? Anyway, a lot of people did take the plea to heart, and I know that a lot of suggestions were made for potential places to put Davinci. I tried, I offered a couple. I reached out to someone I trusted very much to try to see if there was anything he could come up with. In the end, Davinci is off to a new life. He has gone back into a training program with a trainer that he'd worked with a couple of years ago. And that trainer will decide if he can be adopted. And if he can't be adopted, he will stay with her for the rest of his life, which is actually, it's a wonderful thing because it's movement for him. He will get training, he will get evaluated, he'll be in a familiar place with someone who does know him. Let's get the picture of just Davinci up. I mean, he is a gorgeous boy. If you look at the Sweetpea Facebook page, there were many videos taken of the farewell that they had for him last night. I mean, he just went on his journey last night, and, another wonderful Sweetpea supporter, volunteer, and her husband took him, they're a fabulous couple. They took him to his new place. They had a little farewell for him so that other volunteers could come and, say goodbye and wish him well. And, I'm sad that I never got to meet him, but I know where he's going to be, and I know that I can probably go and say hello and pop in and, check him out and see how he's doing and, bring him all the love from his Sweetpea family. But we have a great picture of the group. All of my Sweetpea loves there, not all of them, but most of them, gathered to say goodbye. And I'll tell you, the videos, if you go to the Sweetpea page, just so heartwarming because he is such a big love. Dogs aren't, just like people have triggers, dogs have triggers, animals have triggers. And to see him just, rolling around and giving people kisses and so happy, he's a good boy. He just has triggers. So hopefully the trainer will be able to fine-tune him a little bit, and there's that hope that he'll go to a home, but in the meantime he is in a home, so it's better than being in boarding. And I know his people at Sweetpea will miss him, and I'm sure he'll miss them, but it's a beautiful thing to know that there's movement, there's future for him, and there's nothing better than that. And I just love looking at this picture of all these great people. I will take the camera back, and I did get to hang out with my loves at Sweetpea last weekend. My friend Sherry and I went on a little bit of a mission to transport some kitties to their future, and incidentally, up in that neck of the woods, got to stop and hang out, and it was a beautiful thing. They really are the best people, and I can't tell you how much it means to have their friendship and, to be a part of the Sweetpea family. It really is awesome. Anyway, I'm going to talk about some adoptable pets. I'm going to rewind for 1 second. The only thing that made the trip last weekend difficult was a friend of mine who I hadn't spoken to in a long time reached out, and we did have a late night conversation, and it went far, far, far too late for having to be up early in the morning and be on a road trip. So to my friend, and you know who you are, I just want to say I'm relieved. Anyway, now we're going to move along, and we're going to talk about some adoptable animals. We're going to start out with a few in Bridgeport. The Bridgeport Animal Control, there's always lots of adoptables there. It's a very high volume shelter. The dogs always need out of there, very high volume, very busy shelter. It's loud, it's overwhelming. Unfortunately, dogs run out of time there too, just like they do everywhere else. So, the bigger the shelter, the greater the need is to get these dogs homes. So we're going to start with one little guy that I fell in love with the second I saw him. Let's take a look at Kruger. Look at this boy. He is a 2-year-old little piggy-faced delight. He looks like a little gargoyle. I love his face. I love his ears. He kills me. He slays me. I just want to smooch that face and snuggle up with him. He's been there since before Halloween, and he really needs someone to come and scoop him up and love on him and give him a wonderful forever home. He looks like an amazing dog. Unfortunately, they don't put a whole lot more out there about their dogs, but if a picture, speaks volumes, then I see all kinds of love in that dog's eyes, and I imagine he is probably just amazing. I don't know. I love him. So if you're interested in Kruger and you want more information, you can call Bridgeport Animal Control at 203-576-7727. Once again, that's 203-576-7727. Next up, we have Buffy, and she is gorgeous. She almost looks like she could be related to Kruger. Buffy has been in Bridgeport since August. August is a long time for a dog to be in a shelter like that. Like I said, noisy and just so busy and so many animals. Poor Buffy needs out. She's about 2 years old, and she has her whole life ahead of her. She deserves to be out of that shelter and in a home. I think she's done enough of time. She's a gorgeous girl, and if you are interested in her, call 203-576-7727. 203-576-7727. You're going to hear that number a couple more times. Buffy is just gorgeous. She looks like probably she'd be your best friend. Beautiful, beautiful dog, and I love me some pitties. Anyway, next up, very sad, is Leah. Leah is 10 years old, another senior in the shelter system. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Imagine how she must feel being displaced at that age. I can't imagine how any dog feels in a shelter, but especially one that has been in a home, and she probably was most of her life. Just such a betrayal, such an act of betrayal. It seems they're saying that she should be an only pet in the home, and that doesn't make her a bad dog. She just probably, and it could be a lot of these dogs in the shelters just are reactive because it's not home. It's a very strange environment. They get on the defensive, but they say she's a princess, and as every diva should have all the attention, that may be what she wants. So if you are interested in taking this sweet old senior and giving her a home for the rest of her life, call 203-576-7727, 203-576-7727. Next up, we have Liberty. And Liberty is said to be about 2 years old. I don't know. She either looks to me like she's got a little skin condition going on, or older than that, or she's had a hard 2 years. I don't know. But she is one of those dogs who may not give a best first impression, but once you get to know her, she, and get past her walls, she is a love. She needs an only pet home. And again, I just, by looking at her picture, I'm thinking there's something going on with her skin, she needs a little TLC, but I'm sure that she's a wonderful dog, and I can certainly relate to having the walls up. Again, like I was just saying, a lot of these dogs are kenneled and they don't know what's going on, and it's noisy, and they're not home, so they're a little reactive. Once she's out of the kennel, she's great. You get to know her, you take her for a walk, she warms up, and she would love to be your one and only. So if you are interested in Liberty, it's 203 576 7727. Once again, 203 576 7727. I'll take the camera back for a second. And, there's so many of these dogs in shelters now that are seniors, that are special needs. I don't understand how somebody could bail on an animal after having them for years and years and years. I don't understand just, the lack of loyalty, the selfishness. I don't know what it is, but how can you just turn your back on an older animal? Are you not capable of facing the end of life, but you're perfectly fine with, bringing up a puppy and having a dog through adulthood, and then kind of when things get tough, it's, kick the dog to the curb or kick the cat to the curb? It boggles my mind. I'm a little mind boggled at the next pair of dogs. Let's get Mocha and Hazel up. After 11 years, they were bailed on by their owner because the family no longer had time for them. These are the things I don't understand. How do you no longer have time? I mean, I understand life gets hectic, you get busy, things change, but how do you just blatantly not have time for an animal who depends on you? Unfortunately, right now, these two don't even have each other for comfort because they're in separate kennels. I know that they're trying to get them at least across from each other, or to get them, somebody suggested in crates back to back, something. The shelter that they're in is huge and it's overcrowded and there's so much going on. To think of Mocha and Hazel being so lost and confused and scared and heartbroken, they need each other and they need out now. One of the things that people are always saying, they don't know anything. The shelters don't know about a dog. They don't have a history on a dog. In this case, because they're an owner surrender, there's a lot of information that the shelter has on these dogs. Clearly, a lot of time and devotion was had for these dogs. To suddenly not have that anymore, I don't get it. Anyway, Hazel is a Pharaoh hound. She's housebroken but not crate trained. She's playful and friendly and fast in spite of her age. Mocha is also house trained but not crate trained. She's a pitty mix. She's good with people. She's described as lazy and thinks she's a lap dog. And I have the feeling that rather so much than lazy, it's probably laid back. They're older. I love older dogs. There's so much to be said for not having, they're low maintenance as far as having to worry about what they're into, what they're doing, having to, take them out and run around with them. If you've got like a chill lifestyle and, you're not a walker or a hiker or a jogger or, that person to take a dog, on adventures, they're happy just to chill and hang out and be loved. Both girls are afraid of fireworks and thunder. Mocha is afraid of water. They've both been around children and are good about baths and nail trims, ear cleaning, and teeth brushing. So really, they've been doted on. And to be bailed, I don't understand the situation at all for these poor dogs. Neither dog has ever shown any aggressive behavior, and neither has bitten anyone. They're used to being home by themselves. They sound like a dream team to me. I'm telling you, if I had a nickel for every dog that I was tempted to try and help and save and bring home with me. I'd have enough money to open up a sanctuary on my own, trust me. Anyway, I am personally begging for someone to at least foster them. You know, get them out of the shelter, let them be together. It's going to be probably, you know, with any dog, but with these two, I expect they're going to have to get used to not being in the home that they knew all those years. They're going to have to get, they're starting over. So I'm begging someone to please, please, please get these dogs out of the shelter. You know, it's just too much. I can't imagine that they don't even have like each other to curl up with for comfort. Mocha and Hazel are at the Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter. And, you know, just because, you know, if you're local to Waterbury, Long Island isn't that far away. Don't use that as an excuse. There is a foster program at Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter. They're wonderful people. I know so many of the volunteers on Facebook. I know a couple of them personally. I can't say enough about the devotion that they have. And, you know, they really care about their animals. So it's a good place to go to adopt an animal. Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter, 516-785-5220. Once again, 516-785-5220. And next up, there's a bit of a special needs pair. We've got Georgie and Bonnie, and they need a home together. Georgie, who is a little black dog, is about 9 months old, and he's blind. Bonnie, who is the cream-colored dog, is about 1.5 years old, and she is Georgie's seeing eye dog. So they're an adorable pair, and obviously they must stay together. They need a loving and patient home where they can have some downtime to settle in and get on with the rest of their lives. You know, when you're talking little dogs, what's two if you're going to take one? And, you know, if Georgie depends so much on Bonnie, I can only imagine how adorable they are together, but clearly they do need to stay together. I can't imagine, again, I don't know, but I can't imagine how these two came to be looking for a home. It's really sad to me, and it hurts my heart. But they are currently at a vet's office in Trumbull, and if you would like some more information, you can call 203-261-9223. Once again, that's 203-261-9223. And I'll take the camera back for a hot second, and I'd like to remind you about some upcoming events. One of them is next weekend with my loves from Bikers Against Animal Cruelty. So if we could get that poster up. It is Strike Out Animal Cruelty, and it is Saturday, January 28th from 1 until 4 p.m. It's 3 hours of bowling. It includes shoe rental. There'll be raffles, prizes, food, and drinks. It's going to be held at the Wallingford Bowl, 980 North Colony Road in Wallingford. And, you know, I always say this, if you've ever been curious about the group, the organization, the people involved, showing up at one of their events is the best way to meet them, greet them, hang out with them. They're the most wonderful bunch of people. I respect and admire all of them and everything that they stand for, and so many of the things that they do to help animals in the community. They're just amazing. And, you know, like I said, the best way to get to meet them is to go to one of their events. And, you know, if you've got questions, you can ask. If you've got anything, you know, you want to say or find out, it's the time to do it. Sure to be a great time. Strike Out Animal Cruelty with my loves from Bikers Against Animal Cruelty. There's also another event coming up on Saturday, February 4th. It's cupcakes, cookies, and canvases. That's going to be held from 11:30 until 2 o'clock. And that is being put on by For the Love of Jack. And For the Love of Jack is a fabulous organization as well. They help sick, injured, and hungry animals. And you can check out their Facebook page. I know that they're not quite as well known as Bikers Against Animal Cruelty, but we can change that. Pre-registration is required. Space is limited. It's going to be held at the Arts Desire on 97 Main Street in Torrington. If you'd like more information, you can call Sherry at 860-605-3422. Once again, that's 860-605-3422, or Michelle at 860-689-3632, 860-689-3632. And I'll take the camera back. Anybody has any events that they want me to put up on the air, I'm more than happy to do so. You know, it's a slow season for things happening, because, you know, usually it's, you know, summertime, fall, spring are the busy times. And, you know, winter is a bonus when you can find stuff to do. So there's two things. And, you know, if there's any more that anybody would like me to put out there, I'd be happy to do it. And, you know, I can't stress enough, if you're going to be adding a pet to your home, please adopt from, you know, a local shelter, a long distance shelter. You know, get in the car and drive somewhere. Zip code shouldn't be a factor. You know, those dogs that are on Long Island, you know, you can take a little drive. Love doesn't know any boundaries. There are so many animals out there who need homes, and, you know, if you can open your home up to an animal, it's a little overwhelming. There's so many out there, but you can find one that fits your lifestyle and fits your home. If you can't adopt and you can't make a permanent commitment, I can't say enough how much of a difference fostering makes. You know, it's kind of like rent to own. And again, you're saving a life because you're getting an animal out of a shelter and you're making room for another one. It's a beautiful thing to foster. Anyway, it's about that time. I'm going to say peace, love, and dogs. Until next week, thank you for watching. Good night.